Because you got powerful legs. How'd you get the physique? Was it gym or how'd you get the physique?
I've always been.
She's actually not got powerful legs. Do you shower in your dressing room? Do you have a shower on the day of a fight or not? Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing nutters messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump, you know what I'm saying?
Welcome, folks, to the 625th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse. You can catch us 8 o'clock in the UK on Sundays, 12 Pacific time in the United States. And you can find us wherever you get your favorite podcasts the next day. Also, for more of the fun, you can check us out at patreon.com/Boxing Asylum, where we have some goodies, including the Boxing Nutters Messenger group and some other fun stuff in there for you folks. But what wasn't fun yesterday was the fight between Harlem Eubank and Jack Catterall. And forgive me, I have to go basically off of what everybody said, because around the second round of that fight, I kind of dozed off, and I woke up when the fight was stopped on cuts, and I just didn't feel like going back and watching it from what everyone described. It seemed like a terrible fight on paper, and it was a terrible fight in the ring. Catterall winning by a unanimous decision. Both guys, they had pretty darn nasty cuts, and the doc pulled it. But it was apparently absolutely unwatchable. I am just thanking God that I got so drowsy watching the first 3 or 4 minutes of it, Justin, that I passed out. So praise be to me, praise be to God. If it was anything like the first round and a half, that fight sucked.
Well, I mean, I don't know how in the hell I actually end up watching every fight on that card. I don't know how it just worked out that way. I ended up watching them all, and I'm still tired, but it wasn't a great fight. I do believe that Eubank was starting to get into a little bit more before the cut, and then his dumb ass just threw his whole body in, and it was a really nasty headbutt. He just went flying in, like almost jumped in with his head and just popped him, and that was it. I mean, he nailed him with that head. And the cards, you can see by the cards that, you didn't really have to watch it. Catterall was doing what he does. I mean, boring, whatever you want to call him. He's a very simple man in the ring, and it works for him. So not all the time. But Eubank was starting to get into it a little bit more. The way the scorecards were going, though, he was going to have to really catch it. He was going to have to not sweep, but he was going to have to win. You look at the cards. I mean, he was really going to have to take over. I don't think he would have been able to take over. He wants a rematch. I don't really give a shit. Honestly though, they might rematch him, because I don't think Catterall, unless a title shot comes up, I don't think that's going to happen. They might as well rematch it. I mean, I don't think either guy's
But who would watch that again?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like you might as well rematch because there's nobody knocking their doors down. I don't think anybody's going to be pounding the doors to watch these guys fight. So you might as well put them on. And I wouldn't make it a main event for God's sakes. Just put it on maybe like the third fight of a bigger card. But I think everybody last week picked Catterall to win, and we were all right. I still think even without the cut, he would have held on. But all his fights are going to be like that. He's like the welterweight Badu Jack is Catterall. They're the same person, just different weights. They have the same kind of boring, just get by enough style. But Eubank was doing a little bit better. But hell, he was. I mean, he can't blame nobody else for losing. He didn't do really shit for the first 4 or 5 rounds. He's the one that caused the headbutt by just jumping in. So yeah, we didn't need nothing. The best fight on that card was the Fiaz, whatever the hell, Fiaz, that's a car. But what's his name? Fiaz, whatever the hell is
Keep Fiaz.
Yeah, not Fiaz. Fiaz, yeah, that dude. Him versus the Murphy guy was a good fight.
That was fun. I enjoyed that. It was one of those fights where it went pretty long and it went pretty hard because neither guy could punch hard enough to knock the other one out.
I think in the end, Fiaz, damn it, I'm still tired. Fiaz, I think he won because he had the cleaner shots. And I think the final 2 or 3 rounds, he started like really landing some. He sat on his punches a little bit more. I would say the first 6 rounds, he was doing some really good countering, but I think Murphy was outworking him those first few rounds. But then, like, starting at the end of round 7 on, he started sitting on him a little bit more, those counters. And I think it was 9 and 10, he kind of walked forward a little bit more. And I think that's how he won that fight because he pushed it a little bit more the few rounds. And I think if he'd have sat back, he would have lost because it was a couple, those are really tight cards. But that was a good fight. I could watch that again. They just have 2 styles that mesh pretty well because you got Murphy wanting to come forward. Fiaz was trying to counter him. It just kind of – but you're right. Neither guy had enough pop to really deter each other and to really hurt each other. But, yeah, that was a good fight. I like – Fiaz had some really, really nice counter shots. Because Murphy opened himself up. When he come in, he always opened himself up. Every time he threw, he was right there to get countered. So that was a good fight. Cordina, I don't really give a shit about Cordina. I think when I got to round 5, I just put the speed on double time and just bounced through the rest of that fight. That was just this wasn't the same Mexican we usually get coming over here. Cordina just was able just to simply outbox him.
Yeah, his only loss was a knockout to a guy with a less than glossy record for sure, and he had fought at featherweight previously, so Cordina was just so much bigger than Kirros was, and I kind of thought if that wasn't the case that Cordina probably would have gotten knocked out. I kind of thought Kirros landed some sneaky little combinations.
He did,
kind
of
put Cordina in trouble a few times.
Cordina looked really big in the ring. He really was filled out. He looked a whole lot bigger and like just stronger than I think. You're right. That's what held him through most of that fight is that he was just a little weight bullying going on in that fight. Then we saw he had the debut of that Atanga was the opening fight, I think.
Atang. How do you say that? Leo Atang.
Let's go with Lou Atanga. I was going to say that. He looks like he could be something. I mean, he fought a nobody, but he has the looks that he could be something. He has there might be something there, but I mean, he's going to need a lot of work. And then we had I don't know. I don't think he's going to have a world championship career. I think he's going to get unstuck. Could be any fight. He's going to be one of these guys, Pat Brown. It could be his next fight he gets unstuck because he just walks in with his head right there. He gets hit a lot, but he's going to – I like watching him, though, because he's always going to be in something. I mean, he's always going to be in an exciting fight because that's just how he's coming out. And I've got no problem with that. But, yeah, he's one of these guys you're going to see 9-0, 10-0, all of a sudden, boom, he'll get knocked out. I just kind of see that career going that way. I don't know how you look at it, but that's kind of how I feel for Pat Brown's career. He's just going to – be in wars, look good, and all of a sudden he's just going to have a bad night and get knocked out.
Dan Oakford, I mean, that's not a bad fight for your second fight. He was a. I mean,
he's an Olympian. You gotta push these guys. There's no point of holding them back. Get them in there. I like when and most Olympians don't take the slow burn. Usually, you want to match them a little bit more competitive because they don't need 20, 30 fights to get ready. Now, I mean, Wilder, he was the exception because he with a very weak Olympic class, but he's the exception. He needed 30.
You just need to find out if they can take a shot without headgear.
That's about what you're looking for. If they can, that's what you get to find out, and that's it. But I was overall, I think we said Fiaz. That actually made the card. If that wasn't a good fight, it'd have been a horrible card.
I thought the Cordina fight was actually pretty good. Once
I got going, I got to double time that when I was
like it was clear that like Kirros. I mean, he kept stinging him. It was kind of surprising. Cordina. I'm just like, man, Cordina's gonna get knocked out, and like they're talking. How do you gonna navigate him to a title shot at 135 pounds? You thinking Sam Noakes is gonna beat Abdullah Mason or something like that?
I think that's what in the perfect world. That's what they would love to happen is Noakes upset Mason. And
that would be a huge upset.
It would be. I never see that. I mean, could it happen? Could Noakes catch Mason early if he comes out a little flat? Yes, but I don't think Noakes is that big of a puncher. He's not what they thought he was when he first. You remember when he first came out? He was just plowing through people.
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, that's not where his power really is. I think his power has found his level now. It's not elite as if everybody was thinking it was, and you're not going to. And if he doesn't have elite power, he's not going to outbox Mason. I just don't see how he can win that fight.
Yeah,
I don't see it.
No, I'm with you on that one. Absolutely, 100% there. Let's see here. William Crawla, younger brother of $1 Million Crawla, lost by stoppage, losing his O in the process. I a couple of these I didn't catch. I was out and about when the
I didn't catch these. I just caught what y'all put on Patreon.
Yeah, Sky Nicholson was on there. She got a stoppage win. I missed that.
How bad was that girl?
I don't know. I'm very disappointed I didn't catch that because
I'm saying, but we know Sky Nicholson can't punch through a bag, so I don't know how
she came into the. Oh shit, that was a perfect opponent. She came into the ring at 9-3. With 2 of those losses by stoppage.
Okay, that girl, yeah, that
8 KOs of her own to speak of. But every time she's fought 1, 2, 3, 4. So this gal that fought Sky has fought 1, 2, 3, 4 girls in their debut fights. She's fought 1, 2, 3 girls who were 0-1 at the time, and she beat a girl who was 0-2 and 0-3. Let's see, the combined record of her the people that she has beat is let's see here 0 0-9 and 0 but then, because there's a bunch of debuts in there too.
Well, you're right. That
Jesus
is the perfect person because after she dropped that decision, they had to get her. They had to get a little more. They had to get some buzz back. And so, yeah, they had to get something back. So it worked out perfect for them that she was able to stop.
And she's from Bolivia. She come over here and fucking brought shame to fucking Stella Farah. How dare she?
Well, I'm sure he promotes her. I'm sure he's got something involved. And I don't think you can't box in Bolivia because isn't he in charge? I think he's in charge of the boxing federation, the judges. I mean, she has to be involved somehow in that. That man is Bolivian boxing.
For whatever that might be.
Whatever that means, he is Bolivian. But I just watched whatever y'all put on Patreon. I didn't get to see the little Crawler lose and the Sky knockout. I didn't see all that.
So joining us from España, Des, what's happening, man? How you be?
How are you, mate?
Doing all right. Just working our way through this funky little card. Did you find any joy out of Catterall versus Eubank, or was that boring to you and sad?
Well, it's plenty. It's given a lot of us plenty to talk about, and I think it probably confirms where Harlem Eubank is, and it probably confirms what we all think of Jack Catterall, without being disrespectful. I think they've both got a ceiling, but one ceiling is higher than the other.
Did you break up, or was that the extent of your thought there? I appreciate it if it was.
Well, what I mean is, we kind of all have our. We know Jack Catterall isn't an elite light welter or a welterweight. I think we wasn't quite sure about Harlem, but if you look at Harlem's record, I think his best win is a 2025's version of Tyrone McKenna. Harlem's that kid that's been fighting kids that have got losing records, and only recently he's been fighting kids with winning records, but they've still got multiple losses. So Harlem's still yet to prove himself at British level, at domestic level. And if you look around at the guys,
yeah, it was a big jump in class. That's for sure.
But if you look around the guys we've got at domestic level, let's look at the cream of the crop. So if you've got Paddy Donovan, Pierce O'Leary, Lewis Crocker, we haven't seen a lot of Chris Congo for a while, and I know Michael McKinson's struggling to get dates, but I don't think Harlem beats any of them kids. If you look at someone like Conor Walker, I think that's a good fight, but I wouldn't fancy Harlem to beat Conor. So I'm not quite sure if Harlem wins a British title. We know Jax can compete at world class because we've seen him beat Josh Taylor and should have beaten him twice. We see him beat Regis Prograis, but he's got this awful style that's not television friendly. And for Jack to be in interesting fights, it really requires the other kid to be a very sound, secure, proactive box puncher that comes looking for Jack, and then Jack feeds off their energy. Jack's never involved in Jack's never the reason for an interesting fight, but it can be an interesting fight. So we've seen that. But if you get someone like Harlem, who's very limited, hasn't got great feet, hasn't got great hands, he's not a puncher, his experience is really limited, what are you going to get? Well, what we got last night for 4 or 5 rounds. After the second or third, all the lads on the chat, they knew where this was going. A pattern had evolved, and it was Harlem couldn't let his hands go. He couldn't get near Jack. Jack was in that reactive mode. It had Harlem behind this long southpaw jab, and it was just every minute of every round was the same. And
yeah, he lands 5 left hands and makes his opponent not want to come at him too much, and then that's the round.
And if you're inexperienced, which Harlem is, and you've not learned enough along the way, it's going to be really hard for Harlem to make any impact against a fighter like Jack Catterall.
Barboza was able to beat him because he did a couple of things that you have to do to beat a guy like Catterall. He would feint, catch counter, and he would also then punch roll counter. You've got to make Jack react and then be ready to counter that reaction. That's how Barboza got him in the later rounds. Is he sometimes threw first and sometimes feinted first, but he always threw last. And that's how he was able to get that W. And Harlem just didn't have that ring IQ to do such a thing.
And Barboza's a world-class version, I think, very similar to what Jack Catterall is. And Barboza sat on the back foot and played the reactive game, and it invited Jack Catterall to come onto him. And they kind of had this world-class chess match. I'm not saying it was exciting, but for nerds like us, we kind of see what's happening here. But Jack, again, on the front foot last night, Harlem didn't have the motor skills to do what Barboza did, as you just said. So Harlem has sort of got into this rhythm of he'd set his feet, he'd do a bit of a jig, he'd move his hands, then he'd reset, do a bit of a jig, move his hands, but he wasn't getting anywhere near Jack. He just didn't have the motor skills to get inside Jack's circle. We've spoke about Jack on his pod a lot because he's been quite active in the last 2 years, and he's been in the headlines. Jack's got this invisible circle around his feet, and he just doesn't let anyone come into it. So you've got to create your own circle and invite Jack into yours, and you play that type of game. Unless you're a world-class box puncher, which Josh Taylor is and Regis Prograis is, then you can kind of force things, and you can get into that circle and then spin off at angles. You know how to fight a southpaw. You know how to fight a southpaw that's very reactionary. But Harlem's not that kid, I'm afraid.
Now, and it's obviously pure speculation, but I would tell you 100% that I think that the Pro Grey of 5 years ago beats Catterall fucking 9 times out of 10.
Oh, Program's a really good fighter. I agree.
Yeah, he had a very clear slide. He was one of those guys that after COVID he just kind of seemed to start going down a little bit. But he's mid-30s. It might have been purely coincidental. But anyhow, yeah, it was. We thought that the fight between Fiaz and Monroe was probably the most interesting fight of the night. Did you catch that one?
No, I never see it, mate. I never see it. I see the Cordina one. I saw.
Sure.
I saw the debut of a Tang. I saw Pat Brown. I saw the main event, but I missed a few of them, mate. Because I'm sort of
go ahead.
Spinning plates, isn't.
No, go ahead and catch it. Yeah, talk about those. Go ahead.
Well, there's not much to say about Pat Brown and Leo Atang. Leo Atang is making his debut. We've spoke about him in our chat because we've got a few amateur coaches and guys that are really well versed with the amateurs. Speak really highly of Leo Atang. So he's one to watch, but you're not going to learn nothing. You're not going to find nothing out for the next 10 fights because these kids are going to get brought into the pros. They're going to get out 4 times a year, and you would have thought their opponents would get progressively better, but they're not going to be in any danger. They're going to be learning the ropes. So for the next year or so, the next 18 months, it's just about us watching these kids get a little bit better, and it's every brick in the wall counts. And in 2 years' time, we hope to see them fighting for area belts, Commonwealth belts, British titles, possibly. So nothing to complain about with Leo Atang. Looked the part, 18-year-old kid. Let's give him some latitude. Let's give him a couple of years development. Let's hope that Matchroom do their bit with him. And in 2 years' time, we'll have had a body of work to talk about, and we can talk about his progression. But yeah, no complaints with Leo. It's his debut. Good luck to the kid. Pat Brown, similar type of thing. It's not quite his debut, but he's only recently turned over. What I'd like to see Pat Brown do a bit more of, because I've seen him a few times, and I remember him from the amateurs. I'd like to see him slow it down a little bit. I know last night was a first round blowout, and Lewis is it Oakford, isn't his name, the kid he was boxing? Lewis Oakford, we see him against Junior Alois, and he done it last night. Pat done it quicker than Junior. But I'd just like to see Pat just slow his work down a little bit and enjoy his time and embrace the time he's got in the pros, because this window is going to close one day. It's going to close. It's going to come around pretty quick, and then this stage of learning will be behind you. So I'd like to see. I know it's about knockouts, and that's about exciting a crowd. And last night, bloody hell, someone had to be excitable. But I'd just like to see kids like Pat Brown enjoy their work a little bit more. So take a bit of time, have a look at your opponent, work on things, work on getting behind the jab, mastering the jab, work on working inside that circle, that pocket, not taking big punches. But again, this is very risky business, and these kids, they walk a tightrope. It's win at all costs. So I understand why they want to look, blast people out. I understand why they've got a lot of nervous energy, and I understand why. I understand why they're doing all the things they shouldn't do, but I'd like to see someone like Pat Brown be told, you're going to win your next 10 fights, you're training well, you're going through good camps, you're with a good team, but start to use this next 18 months as a real learning process, as a real stage of development, because when you come out of this period, there's no going back. And we see too many kids coming out of the amateurs, blasting away kids that would never get near them in the amateurs, wouldn't even get matched. And in 2 years' time, they haven't learned all the things they should have learned. So if we're not going to match these kids tough, then these kids have got to use this period of time to get the best out of it, the most out of it as they can.
Yeah, and we just keep them active. I think is the biggest deal. Like you're gonna run into a few, cans, quote unquote, along the way, but keep them going. Every 6 to 8 weeks at this point in time, they should be having a fight. That's how you move them along. And and then that 18-month period, it goes well for them. But unfortunately, like, they feel like they got to sell all these tickets all the time, and they have them on these huge guarantees and shit like that for a young fighter. And I actually think that kind of ruins the developmental process in its own way, because it keeps them relatively inactive. You want to start a fighter off, give me the first year of Mike Tyson's career. I mean, every fucking 3 weeks he was out there.
Right, so you're correct that they kept Tyson busy. I think he had like 18 bouts in his first year, 15 bouts in his second year, whatever. He was quite the exception to the rule. But with someone like Pat Brown, with Leo Atang, perhaps they're not going to get out as much as that, but they should be kept busy. They should be active. But in an ideal world, I suppose, what I'm saying is I'd like these lads to really use this time to become the best version of themselves as they can. And I know it goes against the grain of boxing because we all like knockouts and we all like explosive wins. But these young fighters that have got that small window of learning, they want to get the most out of it as they can. I always talk about the Carl Frampton and the Scott Quigg comparison. Scott Quigg was knocking them out inside 3 rounds and Carl was going 8 or 9 rounds. And when they fought each other, Carl just knew too much. Tyson Fury's had a brilliant career. His development in the early stages was all about going rounds, and it gave him a wonderful idea, a great ring IQ, ring generalship. When he had to step up, he knew what to do. And I just think, to repeat myself, and I know I'm asking for a lot, with these young pros, if you can match it so that you're in there with a kid that shouldn't beat you, but you're going to have to work really hard over 3, 4, or 5 rounds to get rid of them, you'll learn so much more. And if a coach can say, look, we really want to work on this specific, we want to work on this, specific point today, let's really master this, I think it will pay dividends. But I hear what you're saying. We're in a business of impressing networks, impressing promoters, selling tickets, keeping the crowd on their feet. It's very hard to do all those things. I do understand that.
Yeah, it's just a totally different business now, unfortunately. But yeah, that was a nice quick recap of that card. The shock of the week. And in this one, God, sadly, I just did not get around to shit this week. It was just one of those weeks that failed to keep me entertained. But a big shocker in Turkey with Jazza Dickens taking out Batur Gaziev in 4 rounds, punching the puncher. He's had a couple of good wins here back to back with this and Zelfa Barrett, Justin, but just honestly caught a lot of people by surprise.
I think this was the typical. They brought in a guy, obviously they thought they were going to win, but they brought in a really experienced, tough dude who's seen it all, and they got it wrong. Whatever you're going to call him, Bertagaziev, or he got old man. He just got beat by a guy who's been in there. And I looked at the crowd. I mean, you're right. They were shocked. They never know. I think nobody over here picked it. Everybody thought Jazza Dickens was lined up to be the sacrificial stepping off point for this guy. That this was just going to be, he had to get through him to he can get all, just to move on. And he picked a man, literally a man. Jazza Dickens is a man, an experienced, tough-ass dude who went in there and just put it on him. And he was punishing him that last round. He was beating his ass that last round. And that guy you could tell he was just stunned. He didn't know what to do. He wasn't ready for that. And you don't like to use the word overrated. And this is not trying to, because if you say he's overrated, it takes away from what Jazza Dickens did. But you have to say it. I mean, this guy was not, there's no way. I mean, Jazza put it on him. And I like Jazza Dickens. I always just like, he's always an honest guy. One of those people that show up. And so I'm glad for him. He went in there, did what he had to do. But that's the best way I can put it. I think he just old manned him. The experience, the toughness, that guy wasn't ready for it. He just wasn't ready for this. Amateurs, pro, all that is different world. Des knows that. Everybody here listening knows that. It's a different world. He wasn't ready for this man. Simple as that.
Yeah, Des, were you as shocked as everyone else, or did you ease into an acceptance of this early on?
No, I was really shocked. I didn't see Jazza pulling this one off. Look, let's be clear. They've brought Jazza over to get beat. But Jazza ripped up the script, surprised everyone, shocked everyone. And look, a fella in the chat has asked, where does this rank with British fighters' results abroad? And unfortunately for Jazza, we're never going to rank this one highly because we're going to always say the other kid wasn't that good. But in reality, Jazza stepped up and was brilliant. It's not quite a Ken Buchanan, a Lloyd Dunnigan, a John H. Stracey. It's not a David A. against John Mark Mormick. But what Jazza did, he went abroad against the home kid, against a very talented kid, a decorated kid, and he turned him upside down. Now, I never see it coming. I would never have thought that Jazza was going to put in a performance like that. Now would be a time to say to Jazza, now you're red hot. Let's try and get him in there for a version of a world title. I'm not quite sure if many world champions will want to touch Jazza now because he could be the one that could really upset the apple cart on the back of performances like that. But now's the time for Jazza to make that step. He's been a pro for a very long time. He's had some really notable wins. He's beat some world champions. He's beat British champions. He's beat European champions. He's a really capable operator, and he's a fighter. He's not going to give up. He ain't going to go away. So if you're not at it, if you're not on it and across it, Jazza the type of kid that can find you out, and that's what happened the other night. But we still don't know how good this result is because we've not got anything to measure the other kid against. So it was a brilliant result for our point of view. It was an upset. None of us saw it coming. But I'd like to see Jazza now moved into a big fight against a world champion, someone that we can gauge him against. Because if there's ever going to be a time Jazza's going to upset someone, he's going to pinch himself a world title, it'd be on the back of a win like that. His confidence will be sky high.
Oh yeah, I mean that was you got to think the biggest win of his career at this point in time. But I mean, with the win over Zalfa Barrett just a few months ago, he's just having truly a fantastic resurgence at 130 pounds. I think he's just found himself in a place where he's comfortable making the weight, and he can seems like he can punch a bit more. And I don't think he's gonna unless have to be a perfect opponent at the perfect time. I don't think he can win a world title, but he's doing some good stuff at 130 pounds, and I mean he could definitely make some money and grab defend a Euro belt or something like that. I mean there's
what he's doing, Maxie. He's doing something similar to what we saw Maxie Hughes do. He's having an Indian summer. When a lot of people said, there's the exit, he came back in and closed the door and said, you know what, I'm not ready to go yet. And Jazza's doing that. But it is interesting though, like in this modern age of boxing where gaslighting seems to be the dish of the day. Like Harlem Eubank tells us on the back of last night, he's world class. And his promoter then reiterates it. They got the gall to stand in a ring and say, we've now proven that Harlem's world class and he can fight against anyone in the division. That's gaslighting at the highest level. Jazza is nothing to do with that. Jazza is a proper pro, an old-fashioned pro. Travels, wins on the road against kids he was never meant to beat. So it's nice. It gives us a respite. Jazza's almost like, it's a little bit of a gap in the door. It's a peek into how boxing used to be. And for that, I'm really grateful to Jazza Dickens.
Yeah, and I hope he gets something good off of the back of this. You never know in the world of boxing. He's got that's got to get him in the top 15 somewhere with something. So God knows what might be on the horizon for him. But hopefully he makes a few bucks and he gets a couple more decent W's going there.
But there's always that that the other night with Jazza was the equivalent of, say, Tony Thompson coming over and beating David Price. Now, if you can cast your minds back, if you can put yourself back into that space, David Price was the man who was going to beat Klitschko. Tony Thompson was brought over to make David Price look good, and Tony Thompson turned him over. Jazza's just done that. Now, wouldn't it be interesting if Jazza could go against... did you say he was a featherweight? Is Jazza boxing a featherweight now?
No, it was 130.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Because, he lost to Galahad at 126.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think, because the Nick Ball fight would have been really interesting because they're two scassers. Yeah.
They might be able to weave him into a Kakachi fight.
Let's get the rig into a rematch.
Yeah.
Let's bring him up 130. That'll get the crowd. That'll get people excited.
Yeah. But can you see like in a real pot, like what Jazza did a few nights ago, this week, was really positive for boxing. It's got us thinking, how can we find him a big fight? Who can we put him in against? Even if he don't win it, he deserves it. And that's a positive for boxing.
Yeah. You do it the right way, you deserve to get something to work out for you. You got guys that half-ass and do dirty-ass shit, and they keep getting all the breaks. But, hell, boxing is equal to life. That's how life works, and that's how boxing works. Just because you earn something, just because you work for it, don't mean you're necessarily going to get all the benefits out of it, the rewards.
Yeah, nice guys typically do finish last. There's something to be said for that adage. The world is fucking intended for assholes. But anyhow, we wish Jazza well. I'm trying to think, did anyone see any other boxing from this week? I didn't think there was anything else. I thought maybe I'd gone crazy. Yeah. Let's see here.
I was a little delusional.
Matty, I came in about sort of 20 minutes, half hour behind. What did you and Justin think of Harlem Eubank and Jack Catterall last night? I know you've already repeated it, so just proof it for me.
I was just happy that I fell asleep in the second round and woke up when I found after they butted heads.
After Eubank threw his freaking body in there with his head, I
was talking about this last night. I think it was with Davey, and in the chat, and I think in a strange way that's the best possible outcome for Harlem Eubank, because he was looking to me. I don't know how you guys saw it, but he was looking to me like he was going to lose a unanimous decision on the cards. He was completely out of his out of his depth. He couldn't get near him. It's only going to get worse for him. On a finish like that, they can all sit there and say, well, we were just coming into the fight and we were just getting into our groove and we had planned to get hold of him in the second half, and it's hampered it all now. But we'll go again and we're world class. So I think on the first 4 rounds that I saw, I think that type of technical loss is the best outcome for Eubank. They'll bring him back. I mean, I don't know how they're going to bring him back and against what type of opponent, but he'll be able to talk his way back into a couple of big fights on the back of that technical decision.
Oh yeah, his career's saved for now because of that.
Correct. That's the point. Yeah, that's the point.
You can spin the shit out of that.
All right. Yeah, we're moving along fast this week. Let's see here. God damn. I'm going to start with a ProBox card here. I think I'm going to go with this ProBox card. And this is going to be in Fresno, California, so it's probably going to be on late at night. And got a handful of fights on here that I like on here. Got Katsuma Akatsugi is back on there. He's going in against Jonas Sultan. Sultan he's been in there with some decent fighters, picked up a couple of decent wins. He lost to Paul Butler in 2022. He's been relatively inactive. Got back at it a little bit last year, but
Filipino dude.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. He had a nice little upset win on there. No, I think he outperformed expectations on late. Yeah, no, there you go. He beat John Real Casemiro to get a chance against Ancajas, and he performed reasonably well against on Cajas there. We lost Dez again. He's going to be in and out. He's on holiday. I'm not going to hold that against him. But I mean, you're going in with against Akatsugi, who has gotten a couple of stoppages since he's gone on ProBox, and he is just a high energy, high output combination throwing son of a bitch. And I think that doesn't bid well for Sultan, who is, I think is going to be a little bit outsized in this fight too. I wish they could find a bit of a better fight for Akatsugi, who's kind of lingering there at bantamweight. But he's one that obviously I'm high on. Hope to see more from him. We got the
trade fight. It's a good trade fight.
Yeah. It's
no way to say it. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean Akatsugi, I mean he's still fucking running here undefeated at this point in time. I mean he's beaten. Let's see here. He's beaten 1, 2. He has 3 guys on his resume that he beat who were undefeated, and that was when he was doing Golden Boy, and he kept beating their fucking prospects. They let him go. But hopefully he gets another fight this year. I'd like to see ProBox get him a little more active, because I mean he's gotten a couple of stoppages with him. But let's see here. Come on, hurry up, back up. There we go. Also on that card, Senvatar Erdinabat. I always have a hard time with that name. Fuck anyone who thinks it shouldn't be, that it's an easy name to say. You probably are Mongolian. Taking on Humberto Gando. That could be a decent little fight there at super featherweight. 10 rounds on that one. Eric Badillo, who is 17-0 at light flyweight, is taking on Gerardo Zapata, who's 15-2. Then Lester Martinez, who is a hell of a puncher. He's an undefeated Guatemalan, seen him a couple of times, and he's taken on Pierre Debombe. And folks might remember Debombe from a couple of fights against Beck the Bully, where he performed pretty well. I don't think the scorecards really tell the story on that one, if I recall. And then also he lost a split decision to Ali Akhmedov and dropped him in the 8th round in there as well. So that fight, I think, is reasonably interesting as well. Especially, I'll tell you what, Justin, if Martinez can get the stoppage over Debombe, after Beck the Bully being in there with him, I think that's a hell of a statement. He's got to do something. And then last time out, he just blasted Joshan James, beat the snot out of him. So looking forward to that one for sure.
Yeah, I like Lester Martinez. He's got a little like Maidana-esque about him.
Mm-hmm.
I think, or like not really, actually not Maidana, more of shit. What's the guy that had the rat tail? The other dude. You know what I'm talking about. Matisse. That's what he reminds me of. Not
boy.
He reminds me of, he's got like a little Matisse in him. That's who he reminds me of. A little bit of that. And I was a huge Matisse fan.
Me too, man. Fucking that Garcia fight pissed me the fuck off.
And I always root for the guys that are from the lesser known countries. He's Guatemalan. I always, it's like almost like the underdog countries.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get the same push. And so these guys have to work like 10 times harder than the regular guys do.
No, that was what happened in that era for Argentina was great. You had the 3 M's. You had fucking Matisse, Maidana, and Sergio Martinez. That was a great era for Argentine boxing.
So yeah, Guatemala is just a country that it's hard. It's hard.
They are hard. Yeah, they are hard motherfuckers in Guatemala for sure.
It always, people are like, "Oh, I grew up in the streets of Chicago, or I grew up in these areas." I'm like, that's great. I was like, but you don't downplay the fact these guys live up in where they grew up was harder than that. And some of these rural areas of Guatemala, I mean, you've got nothing in these areas. It's always root for these dudes because they had to really bust it.
The only thing those people had going for them compared to people who might be living on the streets and shit like that around here in some places is like you could find fresh food and shit like that. Like it just fucking grows.
Got you a pineapple or something.
Yeah, but that's like it. Like there's no modernization. And that's when you think about it broadly from the boxing sense, That's why it's so hard for some of these guys to really get off of the ground, is because number one, like, who knows them? They're from, fucking Guatemala or Chocolatito, Nicaragua. And like, the only reason I think Chocolatito got a push is because he was Arguello's protege, and that still carried some weight, right?
Arguello was able to get him some connections with the right people to get him. And then he got hooked up with Tekken, and that's all it took.
But like, are these guys in these countries getting world-class sparring? No. Are they using world-class facilities? No.
They're going to be like Rung Vasai out, hitting heavy bag tied to a tree. That's the kind of shit they do.
Yeah.
And they're not even heavy bags. They're like just sacks of stuff they just put. I mean, it's crazy if you watch some of these videos or, just hear these stories. I mean, there's no air conditioning. There's no anything. I mean, you're out there just like punching bam. I don't know what the hell they're doing. Lifting water with bamboo, like a freaking kickboxer movie with Van Damme type training shit.
Well, and that's the thing about those guys. Like they don't have all these advantages, but they do have one advantage, and that is if you can't force them into your boxing match or land something clean enough and end the night, they are going to force you into their fight, and you're probably going to lose.
Yeah, because there's no like a lot of these guys, there's like a no quit thing because you can't. It's like all about a different. So I'm a Lester Martinez fan. I think he should definitely. I don't know if he'll walk through this guy, but I think he'll stop him. I mean, I don't know if he'll go out there and just.
That'd be impressive. I'm telling you, that's a statement. That DeBombe had a chin. I mean, Beck landed some fucking shots on that dude, and he landed them right back.
Well, you've seen though, man. This is not trying to not Beck, but I don't know if his power is legit power either. Like, is what they thought it was either. Because it's there, but like in his last fight, I mean, he landed his best shots and really couldn't hurt that guy. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that's another road we can go down. Like I told you, I'm running on. I don't even know. I don't even know where we are. And I just remember pieces of the last few days. I remember this chunky girl was making me origami things and handing them to me at like 7:00. I think Friday night. I don't remember why she was making me origami.
You said this chunky girl is making me and I'm like, oh fuck, where's this?
No.
Like, origami.
I remember she kept walking up to me, handing me like little cranes, like a frog or something. I don't even know what.
Dude, those little frogs you can make hop. Those are fucking cool as shit. I remember.
I lost track of where I was there for a little. I don't know what we were actually.
Dude, you're fine.
I don't even know if I have. I don't know what the hell's going on, but yeah. I remember pieces, but yeah, as far as that goes, I always want to watch a Lester Martinez. And ProBox, shit. I said ProBox just, I know I've said this before. They just remind me of the old ESPN Friday night, Tuesday night fight cards. And that's why I like them.
Yeah.
They got good
somewhere between that and Showbox, right?
Yeah. You've got the good announcers. The fights are relatively competitive. I mean, on paper they are at least. They challenge the guys. You get second chances. You're right. It is like a Showbox mix with the Friday night fights. It's enjoyable. It is. I know this. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox here, but it is about as honest you're going to get in the boxing.
It's fucking free.
Yeah, you're not going to get much. It's about as honest as you're going to get. That's the best way I can put it with this. As far as the boxing game goes, this is about as honest as you're going to get. Is how they put their cards together and how they do their show.
Gary Jonas is a fantastic matchmaker. If he's not the one doing the matchmaking for ProBox, whoever the fuck is fantastic at it. Because I'll tell you fucking what, if you look at the cards over Cinco de Mayo weekend and the amount of action that they provided compared to your typical ProBox card for free that used to be on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy.
No contest.
Like you said, it's not. ProBox has shown, and I don't even know how people don't get this. You don't have to have a lot of money. You don't have to spend millions on stupid shit. Just have a guy who knows how to freaking put a fight together. That's all you have to do.
Understand that styles make fights and that nobody's O is sacred. That's what they do.
It's not hard. It's not hard to figure that out, to realize this guy's probably more competitive versus this guy. Let's make this. They have shown you don't have to have a ton of money, because these guys on ProBox aren't making shit. I mean, they're not getting paid that much, but that's because that's the level they're at. Mm-hmm. But they're not. It always bugs me when they're like, oh, no, this card, money should never be an excuse not to have a good card. Period. I don't ever want to hear the fact, well, we couldn't pay for this opponent or we couldn't. The cards suck because you decided I want that guy to fight that guy. It wasn't
cards
money.
Suck because they decided that somebody deserves 6 or 7 figures when
problem.
they don't.
That's the problem. Then is they made that decision. Don't blame anybody else. You are the matchmaker. You made that call, and you did it like you just said. You did it for financial reason. That doesn't mean shit. When you can put a good look. I mean, I know I'm gonna say it again. ESPN had some damn good fights over the years.
Oh yeah.
And they wasn't paying nothing for these fights. Augustus versus Mickey Ward.
Yeah.
These guys are making like 20 grand. And but they realize that's probably those guys are gonna mesh. It's like it's not a hard thing to do. And look at that Ben Shalom. I mean, my God, look how quick they ran him out because he could not figure it out how to do it. He absolutely could not figure out how to do a card. I don't know. To this day, I always wonder I think I asked this question I think I asked it to Ames, is where did they drag that guy from? Now he's gone. I don't think we're ever going to see him. We're never going to see him again. There's no way anybody in boxing is going to let him back because he absolutely didn't do anything well enough. There's no other promoter. There's nobody going to say, oh, you know what, we'll give him a job working for us. Why? He didn't do shit. He come really fast, and he's going to go away in a puff really fast, and that's just how it is. We don't need him lingering around anymore. He had his chance. He blew it. He had the platform. He had the money. He didn't do jack shit. So we don't need to see him again. And I honestly with you, I don't want ProBox to get a contract with a big network because it'll be different. It won't be the same anymore. Their cards will not be the same anymore if they get bought out or they try to hook up with a big network. ProBox, as we know it, is done. It will never be the same. You know it, I know it. It's done.
You know what ProBox is missing is a certain social media element of like sharing some shorts of these fights and shit and just selling them in bursts.
They don't have any of that shit.
Yeah, like that's what they need is they need to kind of work on selling like what's already happened, and like this is what a ProBox event is, because just we've gone over all this and I haven't even gotten to what I think is the main event on there. And that's Vladimir Hernandez, one of our favorites, of course, taking on Francisco Daniel Verón, who lost to Brandon Adams in the overtime boxing event, and gave him a decent fight as well. That's another really solid main event. Hernandez taking on another guy with a single loss.
Martinez is not the main event.
What's that? I think maybe Martinez is the main event, or maybe Hernandez is. I don't know, but they're both great fights. They're both great fights.
They're both going to be good. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. They're both going to be. Well, we've said it 100 times. Vladimir Hernandez
he's a fucking fighter. G.
He's a fighter. I mean, that man it's like those guys have been around boxing since the beginning of time, and you have to have those dudes. You have to have these guys that just are like, don't give a damn. They'll take whatever you pay them. They just like to fight. They're going to show up. Call them at 9:30 in the morning. Could you be here at 2? Yeah, shit, I'll show up at 2. Those are the guys you like. I love those guys. And Verón, if Verón is not on it, and that Brandon Adams loss is kind of who he is, then he'll lose to Hernandez. He's not going to beat him if he better be more than we think he is or he won't win.
I'm curious if there's any odds out on this actually already.
I haven't looked it up on FanDuel.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious there because like some of these, I feel like these ProBox cards, they usually get odds up for them like more like towards the middle of the week.
Yeah, I don't ever see them. I don't ever see them early.
And I usually only see them on DraftKings. I never see them on fucking ESPN Bet. Let's see here. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm getting nothing over here whatsoever.
I didn't think I saw anything, but we'll watch it. And the good thing about YouTube is you don't have to watch it live. You can just enjoy it over a couple of days. That's why I like about watching stuff on YouTube is you don't have to. If you can't miss it or you're late, restart it over. It makes life so much easier.
Or if you don't want the oddly placed commercials that happen sometimes in the middle of rounds, download the ProBox app. I feel like I'm doing their fucking job here. When do I get a cut?
we should definitely be the man ProBox. I have the app too. I got it on my Roku. That's what I watch it on. I hit it on demand. Boom, boom. Watch it on the big TV. shit, it's done. ProBox has been good to us. Now, like, will it last forever? No, because I guarantee you, I just said this, they're going to get bought out. They're going to join another something, and that'll be the end of them. So we need to enjoy it for now, because anything good in boxing that's really good, it's not going to last. It's going to go into something else.
Oh, I can't figure out how they're making money. I'd have to figure out hemorrhaging money.
That's why I'm thinking that somebody might be backing them. We just haven't seen yet.
Well, Gary Jonas is the guy behind it all. I don't know how much money he has. Like, I don't know.
Paulie and Chris Algieri are part owners, and I know they're not like filthy rich. So I don't know where. Yeah, he must, because he has to be covering the majority of the money.
You know, that helps though, because if they're part owners, then maybe nobody has to pay them a wage to fucking be part of the crew and shit. And it seems like they have fun. Like they just no one's telling them to come there sober or anything like that. So they're having a great time.
It's a very laid back, and Paulie can say whatever the hell he wants to. You can say whatever the hell you want to when you own the freaking company. So like if he doesn't like something, man, he lets it fly. Because what are you gonna do to him? He owns it.
Oh, especially on the live broadcast with some of the judging and shit like that. Oh man,
he'll yell and scream at people. I mean, you can do what you want to in a way if you're the owner. So he can talk shit, and that's what I like about it. So we'll see. Like I said, ProBox, you better get it while you can, and you better ride it out, or because it's not going to be there forever.
No, not at all. Let's see here. Where else do we want to? Which one? I'm trying to see which order we want to go on this. Des said he was going to be back. Let's see if he can get back here in time to do it. Let's see here. Vladimir Hernandez. All right. Yep. So then we got a DAZN card on that's also on Saturday. This is going to be headlined by Gergen Hovhannisyan and Chris Thomas at heavyweight. Angel Berantes against Jorge De Jesus Romero. 10 rounds at 122. Drake Banks versus Colby Madison, an 8-round heavyweight contest. And let's see here. Alexei Dronov and Joel Cottle over 8 rounds.
Random ass zone card.
Yeah, I'm going to look up some of these records here.
You got Big Gerg. You got Big Gerg being your main event. That guy is. Let's say this. He's a big man. He's a big, bald, fat man. I think that's him, isn't it? Big Gerg.
Yeah, that looks like he has hair. He has hair.
Okay, maybe I was wrong. Maybe that's another big.
He's currently 8-0 with 7 knockouts.
Yeah. He just shaves his head bald. Yeah, Big Gerg. I don't know where he's getting this push from. He is. Oh my! That can't be the guy he's fighting. That's got to be another. That's his last fight.
His opponent is a 5'11" heavyweight who is a Caucasian and does not bid well for him.
Well, you remember he fought his last fight was versus that Callaway guy.
Yeah.
Who looked like Jabba the Hutt. He was
huge.
He's like 5'10", like 360 pounds.
Devon Callaway, yeah.
Yeah, they are I would say I've seen Hovhannisyan fight a couple of times. They're going to have to creep. Yeah, that's what his name is. Big Gug. I was right. I knew I remembered his name. His name is Big Gug. They're going to have to, stupid ass name, but they're going to have to really creep him, because he is a stamina knockout waiting to come. He is what he reminds me of Akhmadaliev. No, what's his name? Martian. What's his name? Mark. I keep forgetting his name. The Canadian guy. Mahmudov, Murbek, whatever his name is, the big dude in
Slenbek Makhmudov. Yeah.
That's where he reminds me of a big guy that he's not going to have the motor, and if he can't get you early, he's going down. I don't think this Chris Thomas is, but I do like. I mean, Goosen's training him, and I do like Goosen a lot. Him and his little full denim outfit. I do like Goosen.
Canadian tuxedo, baby.
But Goosen's last few heavyweights have struggled. He had, and you got to think about it, I like Goosen, but he hasn't had a good fighter in a while. Like a really high.
He was training Ryan Garcia for the Davis fight.
But he really wasn't his fighter. You know what I mean? Like,
I can dig that.
It's been a while since he brought a guy up. It's been years. I think his last guy they were pushing was
John.
Yeah, it's been a while since
it was John Molina, I think.
Biggest freaking head in boxing history. That's a big skulled SOB. God almighty. No wonder you couldn't knock him out.
A large target.
That's what I'm saying. Even if he had incredible head movement, half the head would still be. There's no way. I don't care how great his head movement was. You can't move that skull. There's no way.
No. But that's so. I'll tell you the fight underneath that one's not too bad either. It's 13-1 against 23-1-1. Angel Barrientos against Jorge De Jesus Romero. And Romero just took his first loss in his last fight. And it was against the 16-0-1 guy, and it went to decision. So, yeah, that's you never know. That's just let's see here. He had points deducted in round 7 and 10, so he might be a head case. But yeah, that's not a bad little second card fight on there. So, yeah, this is on DAZN. Let's see that. Yeah, that doesn't look that interesting. Yeah, and that might be the extent of it. So those two fights. So you got those two going for us.
I'm not trying to break you up, but if you go to Tapology and look up Chris Thomas, who the big Gugs fighting, there's no way in hell the guy in the picture is Chris Thomas. Unless Chris Thomas, the guy in the picture weighs 150 pounds and looks like he's 19. I don't think he's 37 years old and weighs 230 pounds. They might want to get their picture.
Well,
they might want to get their picture. There's no way this guy is Chris Thomas.
We'll find
unless
out.
He put a lot of weight on
the mystery.
Unless he had a lot of LB.
Let's see here.
Big Gugs that have that one pretty good.
So was there another one before we get to the shit that matters? I was trying to hold off on the good stuff. Yeah, this one. This is shit. I don't even think there's anything on this card to really discuss that's worth a damn. This card is also on DAZN on the 12th. They're just flooding their channel with their, one of their over 200 boxing cards a year, by praise be. This one is headlined with the title fight, Stephanie Hahn taking on Bexy Matthias, who lost in the UK recently. I'm trying to remember who and what. I think she got the shit kicked out of her. And that's going to be at lightweight. Abraham Perez against Angel Giovanni Meza Morales. 8 rounds at flyweight. Jorge Travar and George Sosa, 8 rounds at middleweight. And it goes on like that. Nothing very too tremendously interesting on that one. And I'm trying, which one do I want to go to first? I'm going to do this one just because if Des comes, he can talk a little bit more on the chick card. But you, other than Taylor versus Serrano, I know I can't expect too much from you on the women's boxing lane.
No, I would have high hopes that I'll be able to. I know I can name about 3 women's boxers, and I don't even know if those are correct. So I really am not going to be the man to go to on that one. Only women's boxing I'll follow their Instagram if they're hot, but I actually don't watch the fight.
So you've watched the Taylor and Serrano fights, haven't you?
No.
Oh my God.
No. I don't think I've even watched the highlights. I didn't remember them fighting.
Oh my God, that is fucking shameful. Those are some of the.
I know what happened. Actually, I don't even know who won. We'll get it. We'll move on from that.
Oh,
when you bring back chicks with nuts, I'll do my history. I'll try to get, what was it called? Chicks with dig. Oh, yeah, that's not it. Or chicks with dicks, or whatever you want to call it. We will bring that back. Oh, that's a podcast we were talking about the Moroccan or the Algerian woman that fought in the Olympics. We'll bring her in.
Okay.
Last time we saw her, she was giving away fake belts in the Bahamas, and she's not got much going on right now.
Sounds like good fun. Sounds like.
Yeah. All right, wait a minute.
Well, this card, I think you can discuss up and down. Oh, lost my headgear here. We'll do we'll work our way up to the main event because I think all of these fights are worth talking about for their own bit here. And again, God damn it, this is actually a decent fucking card. It pisses me off that it's pay-per-view. But you got David Morell against Imam Katiev over 12 rounds. I think it's going to be scheduled for 12. Watch him change it to 10. I think that's a really good fight. Morell against the undefeated Katiev, who's a good puncher. That fight, I'll tell you what, if Morell has any wear and tear from that Benavidez fight, Katiev could definitely figure that out because he's a bit of a banger. I think that this fight, I don't know if it has like fight of the year written over it, all over it, but I think that this has fight of the night written all over it, to be honest with you, Justin.
Yeah, Conte has a tough ass. I mean, he's tough. You're right. I mean, he's one of these guys that Morell's going to have to be on it. This is not a just get by fight. He's going to have to be on it. And I like the fact that Morell is, I mean, they're matching him. He's not like taking any easy routes. These are tough. These are tough. How many fighters? And it's been a while. I mean, he is fighting two tough back-to-back guys. Now, granted, he should have too much for Kaliev. I think we all agree with that.
He's a pretty big favorite. Kaliev's paying, I think, like 7-2 plus 350 stateside.
But Kaliev is, you got to stay focused with him. Or even if Morell is not 100% on the night, he still should win. But you don't need to make this.
The gap in experience is a lot. Even though, even though Morell doesn't have a lot of fights, the fights that he's had have been against pretty good competition. I mean, he's been fighting 12-rounders since like his 5th or 6th fight.
And he was Olympian, Kaliev, so there's a lot of background with him. Did he lose to was it Whitaker he lost to? I don't know if I'm right about that. He lost somebody like that in the Olympics. Kaliev did.
Keep talking.
But I think Morell's going to be bigger. Definitely has the size. I think he'll just outwork him. I don't know if he'll stop. If he does stop him, it'll be late. But that's going to be an interesting fight. And I like Morell because, I mean, get after it. What's the point of waiting? I mean, if they're going to just get after it and fight these guys, and that's exactly what he had no problem fighting. I mean, these are two pretty good back-to-back fights compared to what, like, perfect example. Look who Opetaya's fight in the last few fights. Just look at different boxers' resumes. So I like what Morell's doing. Get after him. I mean, get in there. You're not going to make a name for yourself, and you're not going to do anything if you don't fight everybody. And I like it. So I have no problem with that. Kaliev's a good little guy, but I think Morell should. If Morell does stop him, it would be late. I don't think he's going to stop him. I think he's just going to be wouldn't say wide decision, but I think he'll 117, 111, that kind of stuff. I think he'll just outwork, and he's got more skill than Kaliev.
Good memory there. He did lose a split decision in the semifinals against Ben Whitaker. Des, do you remember that fight?
Yep, yes, I must have heard it during the Whitaker. I don't remember how I know that, but I guess I knew that.
You did. You did.
I guess all the Ben Whitaker talk, somebody must have brought it up, and I put it in the back of my head. That's the random nonsense people on this boxing podcast. So I don't remember what I did yesterday, but I can remember some random dude fighting Ben Whitaker in a split decision in the Olympics. That's where we've gone to now. That's where I'm at.
So Des, what do you remember about that fight?
Yeah, it was a good fight. Good fight. Ben Whitaker was the winner. I think it was 6-1.
It was a split.
Was it?
Yeah, it was a split.
I had Ben Whitaker winning the semis. I had him winning the semis well. But look, Kaliev's a good fighter, and this is a real hard fight for Morell. And it goes to show you they must really fancy David Morell. I mean, on the back of the Benavidez fight, to go in with Kaliev, they must really fancy David Morell, the people behind him. This is matchmaking of the highest order if he comes through it. It's a hard fight. I don't quite know what way it's going to go, to be honest. My gut is telling me that David Morell is going to have a bit too much for Kaliev. I think he's going to have a lot of dog in him, but he'll have the dog that he needs, but he'll also have the skills that just might edge it. But it's a hard fight, this one. It's a brilliant fight.
Yeah, honestly, this card is very good. If DAZN hadn't pissed me off with all of their different pay-per-views, or it kept them around like the $20, $25 price mark, I would have been all over this shit. I have no qualms with this card whatsoever. Let's see here, what else we have on. Let's see here. So, and then we're gonna have on that one, Justin. This one is really, really close with the books, and I feel confident about it, so it probably means I'm wrong. But I'm feeling Subriel Matias over Alberto Puello just because I think people are confusing what Pero brought to the table to beat Matias with just an overall weakness again in the ring. And I don't think that's the case. And I don't think Puello does what Pero does in the ring.
Oh.
So therefore, I'm taking Matias to corner and land good body shots, stop the boxer.
I think you're right, because this has been in boxing since the beginning of time. The Matias style is beatable if you can really box and move, and that's what Pero did. He was just the exact perfect style to beat a Matias. He frustrated him. Matias wants you right there in his house. He wants you right there in his zone. He does not want to chase you. He does not want to move like that. And Puello, you're right. I think Barro is a better boxer than Puello is. So that means that Puello is going to be more of a war than Barro made it. So that opens the door for Matias. I'm still leaning Puello because Matias, his last fight, he was in a war. How much does he have left?
But Puello can't punch for shit.
You're right. I forgot about that. Right. So I guess the question in this fight is going to be a very simple one. Can Puello stay away for 12 rounds, not be able to fully hurt Matias? And I agree with you. You're right about that. I didn't really think about all that. You're right. He's not going to be able to stay away for 12 rounds. He doesn't have that kind of boxing ability. So I see Matias. I'm going to go with you on that one. I see Matias stopping him because Puello, if you can't hurt Matias, you have to sting him or you have to be able to really frustrate him.
What can you do to make him not want to track you down?
And Pero just kind of switched him off a little bit. He frustrated him.
He threw a lot of punches on him, and then he smothered him.
Yeah, and I don't think Puello is going to fight like that. So you're right. I can see that is probably a good bet. That is, I wouldn't even say. You can't even really consider that an upset, really, though. Honestly.
No, it's a real 50-50 fight with the books, and I can see why it's 50-50.
Yes, you're right. I'm going to go with you on that one. I think Matias stops him probably late, 8-9.
Yeah.
Something there.
Yeah, and Des, that's what I'm thinking. He'll probably do a little bit of the Matias thing, and I even think probably through the first 3, 4, maybe even 5 rounds, Puello might box really well and make him look stupid, but it takes a lot of energy to keep a guy like Matias occupied, and I just think it's going to wear on him. It's not like fighting Sandor Martin. This is a different type of animal.
Yeah, I can see why. You draw that conclusion. I'm a big fan of Puello. I fell in love with him against Anton Russell. I think he dug deep. He fought when he had to fight, and he boxed when he had to box. He showed me a lot of sides to his game that night. And that run, beating Russell, beating Sandor Martin, I like that trajectory. I think it's on the up. And look, we know what Matias is. But he did come on. He did get beat against Pero. I don't think the Ramirez and Valenzuela results tell us an awful lot that we didn't know about Matias. I think this one could be all about who gets who in what half of the fight. I think if this fight is still relatively even or split, rounds 5 or 6, I really fancy Puello to see it out and get a decision.
All right. So we're split on that one. Interesting. Okay.
So if I could just clear it up there.
Sure.
I think Matias gets hold of him early, stops him around 5 to 7. But if he can't get hold of him early, if we go into the midway fight and it's pretty even and Puello grows, I think Puello gets a decision.
No, I think
good fighter, Puello.
I think Des is right. If Puello can go without taking a lot of damage through the first half,
correct.
I think he'll be able to see it out. If he can if he doesn't take a lot of shots and he can move and do what his thing, I think he can see that out. He just has to be careful, like you said. He can't take a lot in the first few rounds because he won't be able to take it the whole fight if he's getting it early. There's just no way.
And I'm not sure how world class Matias is. Second half of a fight, he's not winning. Do you understand what I'm saying? If he's in the second half of a fight and he's not in front on the cards, I'm not sure if he can turn that one around.
Yeah, the key, I can see what you're saying if he's not in front, but yeah, I mean, he stops guys after
If he's in front, if he's been pummeling them, but if he can't get hold of Puello in that first 6, and they go into the second half, and Puello's in a good place and he's comfortable, that's going to be hard for Nuthouse to turn that one around.
Yeah, I'm looking at it like honestly, the wins over Jeremias Ponce and Ergashev were pretty impressive at the time. I wonder if Ponce has been back in the ring since then. Yeah, he's been okay. Oh, interesting. So Ponce is got back out since then. That's good for him. Nobody to speak of. But yeah, I mean, this guy, I don't know. It's going to be a very, very tough out, and I think it's a tough fight for both guys because of what they bring to the ring. I just if Matias is able to get to Puello's body, and if he forces Puello to use his legs as a big part of his defense, I don't think that's going to work for 12 rounds because Pero really had to use his hands to keep Matias occupied.
This card's got a triple header of 3 really close fights. 3 really close fights.
4.
Who's the other one?
So I think Stevenson and Zepeda is a great fight too.
Yeah, I said the triple header. So I've got Stevenson, Zepeda. I've got Morell. I've got Mateus. Who's the 4th one?
Shiraz and Berlanga.
He's out on the same card.
Yeah.
So yes, I agree. Yeah, four really close fights.
It actually is a very good card. I'll give him credit. Like this is like if all we had, like if this and the Canelo fight were the only pay-per-views that they have had in the last 3 months, I wouldn't be as pissed off at DAZN. Not even close.
Have you spoke about Hamza and Berlanga?
No, we were just getting.
Sorry, mate. Go on.
No, you're fine. Yeah, and that one we're looking forward to it. I've got a parlay going, and the last legs I need to pull it off are Matias and Shiraz. So pick one. One of them is going to lose, but we'll see what happens on Saturday night. I just think that Berlanga, to me, he's just so horribly one-dimensional. He is so upright. He doesn't switch levels enough. All those little pro things that Adames did just enough of to where he should have gotten the W over Shiraz. I don't think Berlanga necessarily brings that to the ring. I think he brings a much more primitive style, and I just feel like that Shiraz is going to eat him up the middle. And this 168 with his frame, I think is going to be a more comfortable weight for him. And I think that this fight really could be his coming out party.
Matty, if I listen to 100 podcasts this week, no one's going to make a more intelligent comment than that. That's a brilliant observation. That's a fantastic observation.
Oh, thank you.
The intricate, subtle skills that we probably overlook in boxing because we're a bit snobby about them type of skills that Adames brought against Hamza, Berlanga hasn't got. You're absolutely bang on. That's correct. And what Adames does, them subtle movements, that way of pressing, that very close, tight counter punching, which is done on angles, which almost is a suffocating process. And Adames done it brilliantly against Hamza. I totally agree. Berlanga won't have that intricacy in his game. And I think Berlanga is going to be a bit too obvious, a bit too honest, a bit too, use the word primitive. Yeah, good descriptive. He's going to be a bit too primitive. And I think he'd be too easy to hit. For that very reason, I think we've seen Hamza get caught out against Adames. And that was his test. But I don't think Berlanga will offer what Adames offered. And I think Hamza beats Berlanga on that reason, on that basis. Great observation, Matty.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. And Justin, and we've seen obviously Berlanga go down against Canelo, who is a great fighter. He's a good puncher, but he's not a big 168-pound fighter, right? But we've also seen Berlanga go down in other fights previously in his career and really struggle against guys who have shown their level. And we saw Shiraz, just kick the crap out of Ammo, who I think is a very capable middleweight. And it's not only that I feel Shiraz wins, I'm just digging I'm digging the knockout. What are you thinking? I think Berlanga is just so there to be hit.
Well, I like to start off with, I disagree with this. I don't think that was a very good comment you made earlier.
Well, eat my ass, sir.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I don't have much to add to that. That summed it up. Berlanga, with a lack of a better word, is Berlanga just sucks. He's not that good. And we've seen with Shiraz that he has the ability. And I think with Adames, I do believe there probably was a little weight issue. I do believe that they overlooked Adames a little bit. I don't think they respect Adames enough in that fight. I think Adames was more than they were really thinking he was. The best way I could put it, he was more to him than they were expecting. But Shiraz has to put his money where his mouth is now. He kept blaming the weight. Well, that should be an issue now. There's no that he should be exactly 100% where he needs to be physically and mentally. I don't see any reason. I don't know if he's going to stop him, but yeah, I could easily see a late stoppage. I think Shiraz does everything better than Berlanga does, and I don't think Berlanga does anything well. I don't think Berlanga. We've already seen with Berlanga. He is not even close to being the puncher. The only person he's knocked out in the last few years was that tatted fat guy who got out of prison like 2 days before the fight. Berlanga, he's not what.
It's true.
He hasn't. It doesn't have world class power. He's not that fast. He doesn't have a good ring IQ. Shiraz, this is probably pretty simple to say. Shiraz has got to come in with a little dog in him because this is his career. If he doesn't beat Berlanga, he might as well retire. It's over. It's done.
At least on the world level, he'll have to go back and keep knocking around the Tyler Denny's of the world.
Yeah, he'll have to go all the way back because that's 2 in a row. And if you can't beat Berlanga, then you're not world level. That's as simple as that. Berlanga, you're not good. And I didn't say Berlanga's world level, but you know what I'm saying? He's like a barometer. If you can't get past him, then that's it. It's just not going to happen. You're not going to beat anybody above his level. And I hope Shiraz beats the hell out of Berlanga. I cannot stand him. I never liked him when he was coming up. I don't like the shit he says. I don't like the way he carries himself. That man.
I don't like the fucking face.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, he is one of those guys. It's like remember that Step Brothers movie? He's like, I like you, but your face. And he is. He's like his face is just everything about him is wrong. He walks around as if he has done something in his life, and he hasn't done shit. So I hope Shiraz shows up, is correct about this being the right weight for him. I hope he does. But then on the other hand, I think Michael Thompson, I don't have that much faith in Shiraz either. I go with Michael Thompson. So I don't think anybody here, though, in the back of your mind, would anybody be stunned if Berlanga won? No. I don't think we'd be stunned if he won. Do we think he win? No. But if we come up on this next Sunday and Berlanga won, nobody on here will be like, oh, we never saw that coming. Berlanga is not a good fighter, but we don't know if Shiraz is a good fighter either, though. Honestly, we don't know what Shiraz truly is. He hasn't – yeah, Emma Williams was a good win, but Emma Williams hasn't proved to be –
I think if you compare their resumes, I think Ammo is the best win between the two of them.
We'll see Ammo in a couple of weeks because he'll be on the undercard when I'm in Texas, so we'll see what he's got.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, but – I think Shiraz has enough about him, but it could be all smoke and mirrors. So I'm going to lean Shiraz heavily, but I'm not going to be stunned, though, if Berlanga beats him because we don't know what the hell Shiraz is.
Yeah, Shiraz is just a smidge of a favorite there. Berlanga's paying plus 110, which is just like a dime over even money to the dollar, Des. It's interesting because the odds are really close. Matias and Puello has made itself down to a dead even. They're both minus 110, so they're just grabbing the vig on that one. And if that one goes to the cards, it's not going to be a draw. Somebody fucking shut the other one out, basically. I think in that case. So I mean that's interesting. So would you tend to say for the bettors out there, and we don't want it. Gambling is risky. Every bet is on your own choice. Make only bet money you can stand to lose. But I'm seeing a lot of value particularly on Shiraz, Des. I think that's a hell of a decent value bet.
No, I think What did you say? Shiraz is the good value.
Yeah,
I
just a
agree.
little bit less
Yeah,
than
I
even
agree.
money. Him by
Yeah, I
KO,
agree.
you're getting 3-1, just a little bit less than 2-1 by decision.
No, I agree. I look, to come back on to compare and contrast. You know, with guys like Adames, that was man versus boy that night against Hamza, and we didn't realize how much it was until we see it. And then when you think about the career that Adames has had, you know, Adames has fought solid pros. Forget necessarily when he fought them, but he's beaten guys like Goucher and Williams. He fought Derevyanchenko 4 or 5 years ago when Derevyanchenko was still live. Adames is one of them like Dennis Andrews types. He goes on the road. He's the away fighter a lot of the time. He sometimes has to work twice, you know, double hard to get a win on the cards. And we saw that against Hamza. No one does him any favours. And them subtle moves he's got where that suffocating process where he can fight in the pocket but press, and he can counter punch close because he knows how to look after himself. That caught Hamza out. For that reason, I think we're going to see a better version of Hamza Saturday. 2 reasons: because he's been in there with Adames and understands about levels now. So will his team, but I don't think Berlanga brings half of them many problems. I think Berlanga is going to be too easy to hit. I think he'll be a bit too obvious. You used the word primitive. I know exactly what you mean, and I just think I think if Hamza starts well, if he's very proactive, establishes a good jab, and gets Berlanga's respect in the first 3 rounds, I just can't see Berlanga turning that one around. But I could, you know, like Berlanga comes with a lot of jeopardy, but I don't think anywhere near the fighter Adames was that night. And I think Hamza would have learned an awful lot from that night. So I expect Berlanga to blow a lot of smoke, and I think he'll huff and he'll puff, but I don't think he'll have a lot of success if Hamza establishes good distance behind a good jab and he's very proactive in it.
That's the key. And just eat them up down the middle and find your moments for that
be the boss in
backhand
there.
uppercut.
He's got to be the boss in there. He can't whimper. He can't sort of be reactive. He's got to be the boss and get this Berlanga's respect. But he can do that with that jab and in his size if he gets his distance right. And if he keeps his chin down and says, "I'm going to bring both my hands into play," he can get Berlanga's respect. But he's got to do it early, and I think the fight will take a nice, steady process. And I think it was Justin that said it. He could even stop Berlanga late because Berlanga will be easy to hit.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's just a matter of if you can get him out of there. I mean, the win is not there. I mean, it's obviously not like obvious. I mean, this isn't obviously like they've missed something with the books or something like that. You know, we're not saying this is an absolutely overmatched fight or anything necessarily like that, but there's just so many tools that he has to be able to take care of this fight. And it all kind of depends on how stout Hamza looks at the weight. If he looks like he made the weight comfortably and he's got good snap on his shots, look out, Berlanga. Like, you're going to be in trouble because this guy was already punching at 160 in a weight. You're like, how the hell did this guy make that weight? I mean, he was massive at 160.
And I've also got to say this as well. You know, like I enjoyed what Jazza did because we live in this gaslight world of boxing. I really enjoy listening to Hamza. He's a likable guy. He dresses well. He talks well. He doesn't do the insulting bullshit. This is a kid I really want to get behind. I think he's been looked after. I think there's something about Hamza his team don't quite trust, but he's a guy that's travelled, moved abroad, trained in America. I mean, on the back of the Adames performance and that result, and I think even Hamza has come out and said, "I've got away with one." To take the Berlanga fight, I think it says a little bit about the kid. So I want to get behind Hamza, and I hope he can pull this one off, but for the right reasons. I hope he does what we spoke about, establishes a jab, understands his distance, gets Berlanga's respect, and he's a clear winner. But we want to get behind Hamza because I think he's good for boxing. He seems like a really good kid.
Yeah, absolutely. And so And that's actually going to be the main event. But to me, I think the fight that if you're talking about, what should be headlining the event, at least in, skill level in the mind of boxing fans, don't take the fact that he's paying 6-1 away from the idea that this is a good fight. And that's Shakur Stevenson against William Zepeda. This is a really interesting fight. The first time that I think Shakur is going in with a real capable operator who is a physically imposing figure at the weight. And I think he's going to provide a different challenge to Stevenson, something in the line of what Oscar Valdez, but with size advantage too. But I'll tell you what, Justin, what's good, when I look at things that might throw me off a little bit on what I once thought that Zepeda was super competitive in this fight, maybe not. Justin, it's in the way that Schofield just demolished Tevin Farmer, another southpaw, and the way that Zepeda just had such trouble dealing with him in 2 fights with Farmer. So I kind of think that might tell the tale a little bit here in what might go down, but I'm not dismissing the idea that Zepeda in the late rounds might overwhelm Stevenson. I think this fight's far more interesting in rounds 9 through 12 than it is in the first 8.
I think I've convinced myself this is going to be another Shakur Stevenson, just pop, 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 and Zepeda's not going to do shit. I was a Zepeda fan, never really thought he was going to beat Shakur. Even though I don't like Shakur Steve. I'm not a big Shakur fan. I just never thought he was going to beat him. The 2 Tevin Farmer fights just cemented that for me. There's not enough in his game to beat Shakur Stevenson. There's just not enough. Say what you want about how boring Shakur is, and yes, he's boring. But the man is extremely skilled. He's confident. He knows what he wants to do. Unless Zepeda, Zepeda's going to have, the only chance I see Zepeda in this fight, honestly, is he's going to have to land something big early to kind of get Shakur thinking. If he doesn't land something early to kind of change that rhythm of the fight, Shakur is just going to pop him, jab, hold, jab, do his thing he always does. It's not going to be fun. I don't think Zepeda has that many layers to who he is. And the Farmer fight showed that. He never really tried to mix up a lot of different things versus Farmer. Excuse me. And yes, Schofield, I take that a little bit different with Schofield. Farmer, I don't think Farmer should have been in that fight with Schofield that quick anyway. That was too quick of a turnaround after being in a war, his last fight, where he was hurt in that last fight. I don't know why Farmer took that fight. That made no sense to fight Schofield. But that's another story. I would never suggested you take that fight. I think that's one reason why he got blown out so quick. He should have never been in there. Physically, I don't think mentally he should have been in that fight. But Zepeda is going to have to do everything he's ever done times 10. He's going to have to just outwork Shakur, which that's not hard to do, but I just think Shakur has just too much. I don't think we know Shakur's not going to knock anybody out. So it's going to go 12. There's not going to be a knockout. He's just going to shut Zepeda off. Zepeda's going to get frustrated, just kind of chase him the whole time. I think Zepeda is going to get really frustrated. And I just think that this is going to be a 117, 111, 118, one of that kind of deal. I don't think Zepeda – I hope I am dead wrong. I really hope I'm completely wrong. Zepeda knocks him out. I just don't see a world where that's going to happen, though. Maybe, and I pray I'm wrong. I'm praying everything I'm saying right now is just complete trash, and Zepeda blasts him and walks through him. That's just not going to happen in my eyes.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, it's doubtful. It's doubtful. Des, what honest chances are you giving Zepeda in this fight? It's. Again, I think the only thing there's some things that are weaknesses that we've seen now recently in his game have come forward, which he's still very good at. You can ask our man Maxie Hughes about that. But at the end of the day, I think this is more of a question of how Stevenson deals with somebody of a imposing size and physicality, and beyond that, I guess it's not much.
I listened to what Justin said. It's hard to disagree with anything Justin said. You know, he's nailed that. I think this fight comes down to who do we have less faith in, and I've not got a lot of faith in Shakur. He's not shown me a lot. On the way up, I had a lot of hopes for him, but when he's got there, he's proven to be very reactive, risk averse. He's not a puncher. He doesn't even give me a spark. I've been saying for a long time that the people behind Zepeda, there's something they don't fancy about him because they've kept him away from punchers. Now that works well for him because Shakur's not a puncher. So we might see the best opponent, one of the best opponents Shakur's boxed, able to be himself. Zepeda might be able to let his hands go through the routine because he can punch. To offer a bit of balance with a Tevin Farmer thing, Schofield pulled out a really good move. It was a blindsided shot. He knew Schofield knew how to fight at southpaw. He walked him around. He feinted, stepped across, and then came round with a. I think Schofield's not a southpaw, is he? He's not a southpaw, is he? But he's
right.
But Farmer's the lefty, and he didn't see that right hand coming. So that might have just been a brilliant bit of boxing from a really good kid. Also, like we said when Lennox Lewis got older, Razor Ruddock on the back of Razor doing 20 odd rounds with a peak Mike Tyson. Tevin only 2 months ago had done 12 rounds, and before they'd done another 12 rounds with Zepeda. So maybe Schofield got Farmer at the right time. Maybe Zepeda softened him up a little bit. This one, I think I'm agreeing with Justin. I don't have a lot of faith in either kid. I think Zepeda's been protected because there's something I don't fancy about him. I think Shakur is very risk averse. I think this could potentially be one of the most interesting, intriguing fights on the card, but I think it'll be a stinker. And I think Shakur will win a unanimous decision, but it could put a glass eye to sleep. So I'm going to go for Shakur, but I've not got a lot of faith in the kid. But I've got less faith in Zepeda.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I like Zepeda, and I think that maybe this.
Matty, you on mute?
Oh, no. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. I can hear you fine.
Okay. Yeah,
Can you hear me, Justin?
Yeah,
I got you.
What about Matty? Where's Matty gone? Has he disappeared? Have you got to host the show, Just?
No, he can hear me.
He's there. It's weird. You can hear me, but you can't hear him.
I can't hear him now. I'll come out and come back. I'll go out and come back in.
Okay.
That's weird.
But yeah, it's look, I'm looking forward to that one. That's a good fight. That was really weird. But it's we'll see. I'm just hoping that their styles might bring out the best in each other, because even though they were close fights, the fights with Tevin Farmer were fun fights. And if for some reason they can make that swing and it hits this fight in some way, I think we could be in for a better fight than we think. But Shakur has that willingness to just clinch and slow fights down and smother opponents.
He's going to be the only guy that Shakur has fought so far that will try to make Shakur fight him. I mean, he's the only guy that he's fought in his whole career that's going to attempt to really make him into a war. Now that's when we're going to see if Shakur is as good as he thinks he is. Do not let that happen, because Zepeda is going to do everything he can to make that happen. Now, if I was Zepeda, I'd get dirty. I mean, I'd be sitting there head, elbows. I'd hit him. You're allowed one free nut shot. I'd nail him in the nuts. I'd be doing everything I could to piss him off, because you're allowed. You get warnings. You know, you're allowed. You can do it one really good time and pretend like, oh shit, I didn't mean to. I was going for the body. I don't know why people don't. I would hit every guy in the nuts when I fought somebody. Just right in there. You get one free one. You always get one free one, a good one. And nobody ever. I mean, especially if you're the underdog, I mean, you got to get just dirty in there. And I think Zepeda is the only way Zepeda can win this fight. He's going to have to try to draw. He's going to have to try to crush him into a nasty fight by getting dirty. Because if Shakur gets comfortable, this is going to be the most boring crap you've ever seen. and it's going to be just over really quickly if he gets bored, if he gets comfortable, because Zepeda has no shot. Zepeda has to do whatever he has to do to mix this up, or if he doesn't, it's going to be over. If Zepeda comes out and tries, even Zepeda's going to have to come out and right at him. I mean, there's no way he needs to sit. He can't sit back and take rounds off. He's got to come in like a bull. There's no game plan that he can work that's going to Shakur hasn't seen as much. He's not going to outbox him. He's not going to outthink him. He's just got to out nasty him and out try to work him. That's his best shot in this fight. Will that happen? Probably not.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. We need a shock. Why not that? So now, Justin, feel free to kick back. We got the big women's card coming up on Netflix, not a pay-per-view.
I'm going to get some kitchen. I'll be back here in a little bit.
All right, you have a great time. Des, can you believe, and we'll get to this fight last, obviously, can you believe that Justin has watched neither of the Katie Taylor-Amanda Serrano fights? Neither.
Some of the best boxing I've ever seen.
Fucking A.
Both brilliant. Both fights were brilliant.
Yeah, and I know not everybody will know the women on these cards, but we're digging into some chicks with dig action here. We got Ramla Ali against Lila Furtado. Furtado is giving a good fight to Ardingsall and Raven Chapman. She also has a lot of debut fighters on there. Ramla Ali has suffered that bad knockout, lost her most recent fight, which was a year ago. We'll see if she's ready to come back from that one. Chantel Cameron taking on Jessica Kamara. Kamara most recently had that technical draw because of a headbutt, I think it was, against Caroline Dubois. This should probably be a fairly easy night's work for Cameron. I think this is probably one of the easier fights to pick on the card. Shernika Johnson going to be taking on Sharetta Metcalf. Most people remember Shernika Johnson for having her top painted on her during a weigh-in. God bless her. Sharetta Metcalf had a couple of victories over Mio Yoshida so that she could hold the IBF bantamweight belt. There's going to be a couple of vacant belts on the line in this one too. Odd. Then you're going to have Savannah Marshall against Shadeja Green. Once she got off that knockout train, Green has looked absolutely beatable, including her actual loss to Franchon Cruz DAZN. She's been in close fights since then. Marshall's been out of the ring for a while. She's going to need if Marshall still has her timing and hasn't lost it, she should probably beat Green relatively handily. Alicia Baumgartner taking on the undefeated Spaniard Jennifer Miranda. I don't know much about Miranda. We'll see. This at 38 years old. This is probably her one chance. Baumgartner coming back. I think she had a no contest after her drugs ban. So she had that no contest against Pursoon. She was doing very well in that fight though. So that one is going to be interesting. Then Ellie Scottney against Yemelith Mercado. Mercado is on a hell of a run right now. Since she lost to Serrano in 2021, she has been undefeated, including a win, as we stated earlier, against Ramla Ali last year. Unfortunately, she hasn't been able to capitalize off that going in against Scottney for the first fight since that one. Des, any thoughts on that big women's undercard before we get to this banging main event?
Okay. Right. What do I know about women's boxing here? I wish Ramla Ali wasn't boxing anymore. I've seen her take a few big losses and she's got a wonderful story, but I don't like to see Ramla Ali box. So I think her opponent, Furtado, I think she beats Ramla. Chantel Cameron wins. Shanika Johnson, I was not really impressed with her against Nina Hughes, and I wasn't impressed with her. Who did she get beat by? Ellie Scottney, wasn't it? So I've not seen a lot of Shanika Johnson to make me think, yeah, that's a world champion. But I don't know much about Metcalf either, Matty. Is Metcalf? I'm saying
those fights with Machida, those fights with the Yoshida were fairly close, and I feel like she's just a bit sloppy, and it's going to be one of those fights that could be close, but for anything that against her, I think that Shanika Johnson is just a little bit tighter fighter than Metcalf.
Okay, so I'll bow to your knowledge on that. Alicia Baumgartner, interesting because she had Pursoon, no contest, and fighters don't normally look good when they're coming off a drugs ban or a drugs controversy or some sort of coming out of muddy water like that. And Baumgardner's has always been a good fighter that can punch, but I just wonder if we'll see a faded Baumgardner that doesn't look too good for everything she's been through in the last 18 months. And it has been a hard 18 months. It's been a poxy 18 months because she's been inactive. She's had to deal with an awful lot of issues. And like I go back to what I was saying, fighters that come out of these issues never look good for it. I don't know what the reason for that, but we can all speculate. Savannah Marshall against Shadisha Green. I do know about Green, but she got beat by the clothes designer. What's the girl that? That's the one. And didn't Savannah Marshall stand that kid on her head?
yeah. Savannah gave her absolute fits.
Yeah, so playing that triangle game, I would imagine Savannah's got too much for Green. But since Savannah's not been overly active, has she? She's had 1 foot out of the game, 1 foot in UFC. I don't know what Savannah's got left. She's been sort of pitched on the shelf for quite a while, not knowing what her next move is. So, but I would have thought Savannah would be like a lot of fights she's in, too big, and she's a thudder. She must be a thudding puncher, and it just gets the girls' respect very early. They don't want to get near her. Ellie Scottney, we like Ellie. Good fighter, Ellie. I expect her to come through the Macedo one. And that leaves me. Is that the main event left?
And now we just got the main event, the third installment of Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor. And I was at that second fight, the Jake Paul Tyson thing. That was a whole fucking debacle of itself. But I was there for that fight, and that crowd was furious. The first fight, I could see it being a little bit more, it could have gone either way, and Amanda got one of the cards. So it was like, it was kind of split. What a really close fight. And even though it was only a point on every single card that decided it, the crowd was furious for that particular decision. And it's one of those things that, as much as I would love to see Amanda Serrano take a decision from Katie Taylor, I honestly feel that if she doesn't stop Katie Taylor for whatever reason, she just can't get it on the cards.
Well, you was there. We're all boxing people. The crowd was furious because Serrano's a Puerto Rican darling, and they're all Puerto Ricans in the arena.
Not in Dallas. There's Mexicans there, not Puerto Ricans.
Well, they all got sucked in. That's the point I'm making. So, you watched it. You know your boxing. Was it a really close fight?
So when you consider the point deduction, I can't get to a Taylor victory. I think that there's an argument for Serrano to have won that fight anywhere from 95, 94 to 97 to 90 to 92.
I watched it in my kitchen on a Saturday morning, and I loved it. I thought it was a really close fight. I watched it, sort of 8:30 in the morning when I was making coffee. I thought it was a really good fight. It was a close fight. Both girls were amazing. I thought Taylor just edged it. Only just. But the first one, I thought Taylor was a really worthy winner. I thought she deserved to win it. I thought it was obvious she won it. On that basis, to follow that line, you could argue that Serrano's getting better in these fights. Perhaps Taylor's getting a bit older, and Serrano is chasing a win. Taylor's got 2 already. So the law of averages tells us that Serrano, if he's going to win one, she's going to win this third. But Taylor is a very, very hard fighter to nail. She's a hard fighter to beat. She's made of the proper stuff. And this Katie Taylor, she's been winning titles going back, where are we now? 2025 to 2010, 2009. She's been a high achiever, an elite performer. She knows how to get over the line. And for that reason, I just can't bet against Katie Taylor. She's a winner.
Yeah, because I can see where you're coming from. When you're talking about that kind of experience, etc. A couple of wins already, the judges liking what she brings to the table, I would think is an argument to make. You're basically trying to say, is her body going to finally let her down? I'd like to say Amanda has more routes to victory than that because she is the bigger puncher. She is the higher volume fighter. But for whatever fucking reason, the judges just like what what Katie brings to the table more. And that's why I feel like Amanda's going to go for the knockout, Des. I think that she's really going to find some moments to sit down on him, and she's going to be fucking swinging.
Let's have a look here. Matty, do you accept, when you say that almost like Katie Taylor's cheated Amanda Serrano. I think they were both really close fights. And as big a puncher as Serrano is, she's jumping up a lot of weight, and she's not a big puncher to Katie Taylor. She ain't touched Katie Taylor yet. She
had her all shades of fucked up in that fourth round in their first fight. One of the judges had that scored 10-8.
But she ain't put her over. She ain't come close to stopping her. They've been in very competitive fights, these two. And I understand what Serrano's doing is monumental. She's the one jumping up. She's the one taking on the biggest challenge. But I go back to what I said earlier, and I'm not an expert in women's boxing. I've never watched a women's fight live. But I can only tell you what I've seen with my own eyes on TV. Going back 15 years, this Katie Taylor knows how to win. She's made it her good stuff. She's made it the right stuff. And if Serrano's going to beat Katie Taylor, she's going to have to do a little bit more than what she's done in the last 20 rounds, the last two fights. Katie Taylor's not for bending. She's not for breaking. She's a really good fighter, and she's made it the right stuff. So I'm thinking, if Katie Taylor's body lets her down, Serrano might get this one. But there's also the chance that maybe Serrano has peaked and coming down now. She's 36 years old. She's a smaller fighter, and she's had two goes at this and couldn't do it. And you could argue them two goes
she's had like 50% professional fights or more.
And them two goes that she had were her very best effort. They've been heartbreaking experiences. So, no, I'm going to back Katie. And I'm proud to say it as well.
So, yeah, this is the 52nd fight of Serrano's career. Sorry, I was sitting there talking into oblivion there for a minute. And,
Matty, you can't do that to me, Matty, because my hotel Wi-Fi is not great. And I was just about to jump out and jump in again. Don't play with my head like that, mate.
Yeah, let's see here. Yeah, so Amanda's the first loss of her career was all the way back in 2012. And then she was undefeated until the first Katie Taylor fight in that stretch of 10 years. That was a hell of a run, and she won titles in 7 or 8 divisions in that stretch. She's seriously, that's what's great about these girls is that, both of them are inarguable first ballot Hall of Famers. Both 100%. Of them are inarguably skilled, capable fighters. It's not like one of those fights that just so happened to be good because it worked. It's like these are really two of the best women's boxers of their era, and their male counterparts would be fucking great fighters too.
And Matty, you banging the drum for Serrano got my back up and made me bang the drum for Katie. And the reality is this: I think both girls have been great. I think both girls have been amazing. We over here we talk about Jane Couch, and rightly so. She was a pioneer for women's boxing. But Katie Taylor picked up the baton and I think took it to the next level.
Oh, 100%.
She was the one that got girls into amateur boxing. She was the one that amateur clubs opened their doors for girls. And she was the one that said girls can go to the Olympics, they go to the Europeans, they can go to the Worlds. She was the one that became a darling of a nation. So, like, I look, I'm a big fan of Katie Taylor. Not so much as I'm a fan of women's boxing, but I'm a fan of what Katie Taylor's achieved in a sport that really wanted to shut its doors to her. And she kicked them open. And because of her, we've got other really good Olympians coming through. And people like Natasha Jonas and Savannah Marshall and all the other girls. I've forgotten the other girl. That I think she was a double Olympic champion from
Clarissa Shields?
No, from Sheffield. One over here from Sheffield. We've got a girl over here that done it. I've forgotten her name now. I do apologise.
Oh, God damn it.
But I'm out of my comfort zone when I talk about women's boxing. But there's so many girls that have achieved so much in boxing, amateur and pros.
Maria Lewis from Sheffield.
No. One of the lads in the chat will tell me. She's double Olympic champion, trained by Domingo. She won a version of a world title, but it never quite happened for her in the pro. I think she's from Leeds, not Sheffield, from Leeds. She was a really good kid. But a lot of these girls have got Katie Taylor to thank for that. She was a trailblazer. So I want to try and balance this out. I'm a big fan of Serrano too. She's brave. She's courageous. She comes from fighting.
You mean Nicola Adams?
Nicola Adams, that's the one. Thanks, Joe. Nicola, I do apologise. I should have known that, mate.
I just knew that off the top of my head.
Yeah.
the guy who doesn't watch women's boxing.
No, that was a nice Google search on that. I put Leeds boxing.
Yeah. Nicola Adams, yeah. Really high achiever Nicola Adams was. But Katie Taylor was responsible for a lot of that. And Serrano's been fantastic over there. She comes from a fighting nation. She's loved by the people of Puerto Rico. And when these two get together, it's a brilliant event. It's fantastic. I'm looking forward to the third. But I think we've had two really close fights. And I don't think anyone could argue that Katie Taylor got them. You might not like it, but what do we say on this pod? A close fight can never be a robbery. And that's what we had here on two occasions.
Yeah, I'll go to the fucking grave if
Yeah,
this fight is close and Amanda doesn't get this one, I will go to the grave being fucking furious over that fact. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Now, our friend Mr. Damo did put something in the chat here to go backwards a little bit. And I didn't see this at all because, again, I was paying attention. So, Des, I don't know if you caught this. He says, have you boys discussed the abhorrent behavior of Carl Frampton on last night's Shipfest, being on comms and then running around the ring and influencing the referee and doctors into stopping the fight? Like, for everything I could tell, that was doing the Lord's work. But I guess all in all, it might be unprofessional.
I never see it, but I mean, we've spoke about this before. We spoke about it this week. We've mentioned it over the last few months. Boxing's become this cottage industry now, and we're almost hardcore boxing fans. People on this panel, people in this chat, people listening to podcasts like this and others. We moan about it all the time. The type of commentary we get, the analysis we get. Last night, Cole was talking about Joe Cordina and where he's going to fit in the mix of that brilliant lightweight division. And I think he said at one point, Sam Noakes might actually beat Abdullah Mason. And that's what we're getting now from commentary and analysis on boxing cards over here. We get this gaslighting process. We see it last night. Callie Sauerland in the ring said, on the basis of what we just saw, Harlem Eubank, we now know is world class. We're getting this all the time. Commentary teams that only talk about one kid, that tell us stories because they don't know how to call a fight properly. They don't know how to pick spots and keep their mouth shut. We're getting this now. It's a garbage product across the board. I never saw what our friend Damo, and I hope he's well, I never saw what Damo was talking about there because I was in and out of the action. But I did hear some of the analysis. I did hear some of the commentary, and it was what we always, it was what we've come to expect. It was just gaslighting. It was overindulgent. It was telling us stories. It was nonsensical. It was just talking for the sake of talking. I sometimes get the impression them three lads sit there just trying to outdo each other with words. It's no surprise to me, but I didn't catch that bit of him running down to the ring, talking to the doctor, getting kids pulled out. I never saw that.
Justin, did you catch any of that?
No, I didn't.
I'll have to review this.
As soon as he hit him with the headbutt and it was over with, I was like, well, Catterall's going to get this, and then I went to sleep. I didn't get that. I didn't get that part of him running around.
No, and you deserve to go to sleep. 100%.
Because I wasn't here when you was touching on this. I never actually said. I never got a chance to say this. Well, that was a really, really bad cut on I believe Jack Catterall's eyebrow. That was really bad.
Eubank, like I said, he lunged, he threw his head in there, like it was like a damn.
Yeah.
It was right. I mean,
so what happens is, Justin, he never. Eubank was struggling to get in range. He was struggling. Remember that imaginary circle we talk about around Jack Catterall's feet. Eubank couldn't get into it.
Yeah.
He just couldn't get into it. So what he done, he pounced into it.
Yeah.
But last night was quite unique for Jack because Jack was working on the front foot. So at the very same time, Jack stepped onto his front foot, Eubank pounced into his imaginary circle, and that's when the clash come. But it was a bad cut, and the fight couldn't continue. It was terrible.
That was pretty rough. I mean, the whole freaking eyelid was slashed open.
Yeah, and those happen with those guys that fight so low and come up like it's just, I don't know. And as you said, the Eubank didn't help it. He kind of just went for it. Maybe he was looking for a way out of the fight. Like he's like, God, this is terrible. I don't want to be here. I don't want to subject these people to this terrible fucking event. But anyhow, do you guys have anything else before we call it a night?
No, nothing here, mate.
Fantastic. Well, I'd like to thank everybody for popping in the chat there today and having a good time with us. And we're going to be back next week to review this fight and talk about the Pacquiao return against Barrios the week after. My God, didn't think we'd be saying that in 2025, but here we are in some truly strange times. Boxing might as well just be as strange as anything else. So I'd like to thank Des for popping in here while he's on holiday, and Justin after a 43-hour day. And I'd like to thank all of you for joining us too. And we will catch you folks next week on the next edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse.
We'll never forget.
Yeah, we just got up.
Go to and move!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch. I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7 year ain't. I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love Boxing Asylum. It's as simple as that.